Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 96. So I almost said Nicklin's Comic Corner, but my mistake about that. This was discussing a lot more than the last 3 episodes of the series. This was discussing Dai Sentai Goggle-V, but with this one basically discussing the movie and episodes 7 to 12. Chronologically, the movie takes place after episode 6. Mostly put for this one, it is definitely a slightly bigger budget than the last one, though they use a bit of stock footage this one. Yes, about 20% of this movie is stock footage. Like, there's one scene where they show Deftopia destroying an airport. It is literally the same footage they used back in episode 1. Yes, no idea why. I'll get to more of my negatives in a minute about that. So with this one, basically we have Dr. Zarina being on the run from Death Dark. Because apparently she's kind of tired of all the death and killing. I'm like, they've not been around very long. Why the heck would I do this for? I have no idea. So Goggle-V is not exactly trustworthy of her. They can't take her to the hospital. And turns out the whole thing of her being traded was nothing more than a big fat lie. Because their plan is simply this. To destroy Tokyo. With the Death Ray. Okay. And with this movie, we definitely see, watching this movie, that we see some problems with this particular series. I'll get to that in a minute. So, they battle the monster. It's okay plot per se. See it before. My overall biggest problem with this movie is some of the special effects that do not age well. And is apparently later on they do finally fix this. Like, for example, Gogol sees it. You can actually see the freaking wire that they use in order to have the thing fly. For some reason, they are apparently so low budget, they apparently show that. And they show this for that. Also, the air vehicles as well, even the carriers. Yes, they show that. I'm like, really? And here's more cheapness. Like the whole dig on the ground thing, showing that. It looks like dirt on top of frickin' tarp. Yes, seriously. It is so obvious. The plot of the movie is okay, but the special effects, wow, the special effects are not that good. Yep. Now, in the case of the episodes of the series, well, first we have Papa turns to a ghost. Yep. This mostly is put in the hands of this guy's, like, I think it was an invention, I think it was. Yeah, he's briefly kidnapped and all about basically spooking people with this cat monster. It's an okay episode. Doesn't focus on any of the actual, like, Rangers per se, this one. Oh, maybe yellow, unintentionally. Yeah, episode 7 is an okay episode. 8 is quite interesting because basically this is an episode focused on Goggle-Blue. Yes, basically the Goggle-V are tasked with protecting a beautiful professor. Well, they think it's a guy, and then immediately like, oh, it's a beautiful woman. So we have Goggle-Blue transporter escorting her possibly to, presumably to someplace it's later assumed is actually the headquarters of Goggle-V. Why the heck they said bring there? It's because of the invention she has. So they try to kidnap her. Of course, she's basically holding on tight to these particular plans. Oh yeah, it turns out these plans are actually fake. Yep, they're fake. They revealed in the episode they're actually fake. The ones that this one is carrying. And it almost seems like there's a romance blossom between her and Goggle-Blue. Despite the fact they just met, he clearly does care about her. He does a really good job protecting her. And apparently she's shocked to see him transform for the first time in the series. I'm like, okay, interesting. Then pretty much, like, they even briefly hold her hostage along with Goggle-Blue. And they even torture her. How? Whipping her belly. Yes, seriously. Thank God they don't show basically her clothes being ripped, or I don't know. What usually happens when a woman's held hostage by evil organization? Why, they probably would strip her, they might rape her. Nope, they have one of the femme fatale of the series, who was okay, who was actually not the bad looking woman, having her use a whip, basically whip her belly in order to get information like where the plans are. And I'm like, why the heck is this necessary? Couldn't you, I don't know, beat up Goggle-Blue? That would have been a lot more reasonable than using a whip on a woman like this. You might think domestic abuse, but this other woman's evil, so it's okay. That's the only thing I liked with the episode was a torture scene. Look how it was very brief, shockingly. Like, how long was it? A couple minutes, at most. And of course, they break out, and they do eventually find the plans. This is when they find out the fake. And of course, this professor is not the ex professor, but an actual Interpol agent. Of course, they can't say what the woman's real name is for some reason, and of course, they have it where she shakes the hand of Goggle-Blue, and she goes off. I'm surprised they didn't have it where she kissed him on the cheek. I would have thought, though, based upon this episode, that you might think there was a romance plot between maybe an attraction between them. It's like, with nothing, I wouldn't mind seeing basically member Goggle-V end up with an Interpol agent. But no, this woman was never seen again in the series. Yep. Also, something I should point out though, Dr. Zaguya, who is the female scientist, works for Deathdark. She does not appear in episodes 7 through 9. Yeah, I don't know why she doesn't. She appears, like, after the first 6 episodes, she appears in the movie. After that, she appears again to episode 10. And Jennifer 11, was discussed that. Excuse me, after 11, she has popped again to episode 14. Yeah, for some reason, she keeps, like, leaving, like, having absences from the show for no explained reason. I have no idea why the heck this is. 9 is a very cool episode. I love episode 9. I'd say by far, aside from the first couple episodes, this is by far the best episode because of how pure fun it is. Basically, it's all about a mushroom, but the best thing about this is about the kid of the episode, Sasuke. Yeah, seriously, there's a kid named Sasuke in this series. So, this is all about poison mushrooms. And of course, you see the actual effect of this thing. And then, of course, yeah, so they basically hold this village hostage. By the way, this village entrance is basically a cave that leads to this big open area. And according to Goggle-Red, this I thought was one of the most interesting things. Apparently, this village is stuck in the Edo period. Yes, when apparently Goggle-Red mentions this kid, like, oh, I'm from Tokyo. He's like, what is Tokyo? Apparently, this kid has never been out of this village. They do explain that up until very recently, the master of the village changed to where no one is allowed to leave the village. Oh yeah, it turns out this actually is the monster of the episode. Yep, and his bodyguards are the Spot Men. Yes, the Spot Men. Disguised as Edo era style bodyguards. And then, of course, they try to have Goggle-V in the cave. They get out thanks to Goggle-Red. And then they kind of, in a way, free Sasuke, who was briefly captured by the fake master, who ends up in his cell with the real master. So it looks like he's about to be, I don't know, executed, at least basically. And then we have the Goggle-5 disguise himself as Edo samurai, and having Goggle Pink disguised as basically a dancer, frees the kid, And then began a sword brawl. Yes, I thought this was the funnest part of the episode. The Spotmen, who were still in their samurai disguise, pulls out their sword and basically starts a sword duel. Like, wow, that's what I thought was so fun. And then after they beat them in the regular monster form, then we have this very interesting sequence. We have the monster taking turns battling Goggle-V in various different things. First, it's Goggle-Red with a sword sequence. There's one where basically I think it was Gogol. I'm not sure which one it was. There was one was a karate sequence where basically they did tribute to Bruce Lee by ripping off the shirt with the black pants. I'm like, that might be either Gogol black or blue. I'm not really sure. They even have a sequence where they even play freaking football of all things. Yes, football. The Penguin basically disguises himself as a police officer and handcuffs the monster with a giant pair of big handcuffs, which I thought would be so hilarious. And then, of course, they finally beat him. Monster episode. This episode was so fun. And here's the thing. They take the kid Sasuke with them at the end of the episode to go to Tokyo. Though he's not seen again, but man, this was a fun episode. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this episode. I was basically smiling ear to ear. An absolute fun episode. I'm sure the actors probably had a blast doing this. Yes. 10, of course, is a focus on Gogol Black. Yes. Where a friend of his apparently creates a hybrid of a potato. Yes. Where it's a combination of a potato and a tomato and potato. Potato and tomato. Tomato and potato and tomato. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And it turns out the reason why this friend's able to do this was because of a gadget he apparently found that was dropped by Dr. Zelia from Death Dark. Yes. When the heck she made this damn thing? Do not know. Makes a few other different inventions like eggplant and peanuts. Yes. And eventually, apparently the plant is simply uses the device to create a man-eating plant. The only insect is basically a Venus flytrap. And oh boy, when they finally showed the damn thing in the episode, like, wow, the special effect for this one not has aged very well. Like at one point, he tries to eat the friend's like little brother, and wow, this is clearly like not that good looking of a costume. Though eventually, of course, they eventually beat the creature and of course like bash it, like take it off the kid. And by the way, the kid, by the way, is not bleeding from a bite from a plant with teeth. Yeah, not bleeding. Yeah, it shows the fact this is a clearly a monster. They'll eventually beat at the end. Oh, before I continue here, before I talk about episodes 11 and 12, I have to talk about the monster suit from the movie. And this is so obvious watching it. Like, apparently, the back left shoulder had a hole in it. Yes, they apparently, you can clearly see it when you watch the movie. I don't know if this was an error on the part of the people who made the movie, but yes, they actually had it where the monster, like, apparently the suit looks like it's damaged. Like, why in the world it's freaking damaged? I don't know. Yeah, it's by far one of the most baffling things. That apparently they didn't bother to fix the damn monster suit. 11 is their really good episode. Basically, it's about a volcano. Yes, a volcano and an old man. Yeah, it's mostly focused on Goggle Pink a little bit this episode, which like, wow, if I have a Goggle Pink episode, and it's interesting to say the least. It's also protecting this mountain, which, apparently they wanted these people who wanted to develop the area, apparently want to demolish the guy's home. So, after the battle, because the guy's knowledge of the area, he's named a guy and they offer to build him a new house. After they were rude to him. Like, probably as an apology, and probably because also he helped the Goggle-V. I'm like, okay, interesting at best. And he clearly cares about the mountain, so good job for that. Now, 12 is a Goggle Yellow episode. This one is not a really interesting one. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where basically with this one, yeah, this one's like, oh, we have a kid who's a liar, and no one believes him. It's like basically it's a take on the boy who cried wolf. Yeah, that's mostly put what this episode is take on. Yeah, it's a take on the boy who cried wolf. And eventually, after lying so much, probably no one believes when he sees an actual fucking monster. Yeah, apparently no one believes him, and then eventually we find the monster, like, oh yeah, and then of course apparently Goggle-V believes him, but not. Cool. Yeah, this basically talk about when I get to it. Yeah. Yep, and one second. Yeah, but it's a good episode, and I like the fact Gogo Yellow basically is more of a big brother type of figure to these two kids, which actually is pretty good. Though I think the one thing a lot of people might point out, though, why the heck are we seeing a little girl's panties in this episode? Oh, because the skirt goes up. Okay, from a modern perspective, this looked very creepy. And I'm sure anybody who was a little girl back then basically probably would not like the fact we see a little girl's panties in the episode. Like, it's probably a shot that probably has not aged well over the years. Yes, the fact this aired like 30 years ago, like, actually, more like 40 years ago, and this episode probably, that particular shot has not aged very well by modern take. Now, I'm sure that the kid is probably a lot older now. Yes. Her name is Corey the actress plays Corey Tamika. Let's see. Little girl back then, she's presumably 40s, I'd say. Yeah, I'd probably say she's probably 40. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say she's probably in her 40s by now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. She's probably in her 40s by now. Yeah, I'd say presumably anyways, because there's not much information about this woman at all. No, not really. Like, aside from this, she appeared in one episode of Sun Vulcan as Rimi Mizuta, and she also appeared in another one. Bad Sorry, she appeared in a couple, like a movie for Sun Vulcan, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not much to say about this particular person, but she did an okay job with this episode. Mm-hmm. But I still think basically a lot of the monster suits in this series so far are just redesigns of suits from Densey Man. Also, when they have the fight sequence, episode 12, it is very brief. It's like, oh, they get them out, they get their vehicles, they get their robots. We have the lion ant fire one blast at them, and then the sword comes down. They slice it. Then they slice the thing in the middle. they slice it in half. It's like a slicing frickin' twice. Also, this episode has it where we have to show the same shot frickin' twice, or like 2 or 3 times. Like, there's like, oh, let's have the fire go down a hole 3 times, and have the most weirdest moves. Go climb, go kick, go climb kick. It's like we have to have Gogo in front of every single freaking thing they do. Okay, whatever. Though, I've got to point this out though, their Goggle Vision is a ripoff, is basically the Eagle Eye from Sun Vulcan. It's the same exact thing, except that basically they changed the name, and aside from the name change, and the fact we don't show an eagle every time, it's literally the same thing. Yes. Which, my only guess is the reason why they did this, because, well, it was probably something that people liked about Sun Vulcan, so they probably brought it back for that. Not really a big issue, it's just that it's literally the same move, with the same type of device, does pretty much the same thing. It's an X-ray vision to see through stuff. I'm kind of like, what was the point, basically, of using the same exact freaking move? I don't really know. It's one of the most baffling things related to this particular show. Yes. But yes, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. I think I might go ahead and just do Case of Thanatos, get that done with, and basically do more Super Sentai tomorrow, along with how realistic Hero of the Kingdom and the return of Case Close tomorrow. Okay, next video. Bye.